How are the Buffalo Bills going to do it, ladies and gentlemen? How are the Buffalo Bills finally going to make a Super Bowl? All right. Well, on today's episode, I figured that we really need to have a conversation about some key offseason moves that need to be at the top of our head. And I think I've unpacked a couple of things where I think a lot of you guys are going to be like, you know what? I think that makes sense. And I'm ready to hop back on the bandwagon. Because again, I want to remind everybody something that I think a lot of us always forget is that this offseason was exclusively supposed to be a reset for the Bills. This was supposed to be a retooling year, a rebuilding year. The second we lost our top two receivers, our defense, etc. And although all the narratives were saying that we were going to not win our division, not make the playoffs, here we are. We end up ultimately losing to the Kansas City Chiefs again in the AFC Championship. And I know that that stings. It does. It pisses me off. Trust me, Bob has gotten beatings left and right ever since we've had these conversations. But when you put the rose-colored glasses on, you realize from a positive standpoint that this team is ahead of schedule, that this team is positioned to be even better than what we were in 2024 based off of the amount of money that is coming in with the cap savings, with Stephon Diggs' contract not impacting it nearly as much as it has in the past. Same thing with all of our draft picks. We have a solid first round. We have 2 second rounds in which that we can leverage that for a potential move in free agency, stock up our defensive line. So have no fear, guys. This year and this year alone, I think the Buffalo Bills were exceptionally over what I thought that they were going to be. I genuinely, to this day, believe that, which is absolutely insane. Do me a favor, guys. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't had an opportunity of doing so far. Goal on today's stream is about 100 like buttons. I genuinely believe that we can do that. Already have 53 of you on YouTube right now, 17 of you on X, 1 of you on Facebook. What is going on, guys? Smash that like button. Share it with your friends. Because we are going to be unpacking quite a bit about what I believe this Buffalo Bills team can do. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Don't worry, I'm going to be giving you all of the love and attention here shortly after I get off of my soapbox. If you folks are watching the replay of this episode, do keep in mind that if you want to see this live, I am live twice a day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. EST, and also at 5:15 p.m. EST, baby. Today's topic: how can the Buffalo Bills finally get over the hump and make it to a damn Super Bowl? Need some help on defense, impact players to put us over the top and out of the refs' hands. So, Brent, I'm not going to lie to you, my friend. I am not going to lie to you. I think that a consistent pass rush, edge rushers, are the number one thing that this Buffalo Bills team needs to do. Obviously, we're reading the title here where it says what the Buffalo Bills need to do in the offseason to make it to the Super Bowl. And I believe that this has been an answer that we have been longing for the past couple of years. Guys, I hate to remind Bills Mafia this, but I'm going to. We haven't had a 10-plus sack leader on this team since Mario Williams in 2013. We genuinely haven't had a world breaker from the edge rush perspective. And when you look at the importance of that, I just kind of want to point everybody's attention to what the Buffalo Bills struggled with the most this season. And I was happy that we were able to make turnovers, generate turnovers. That was what our defense's saving grace was the ability to take the football away. And we were number 1 and number 2 fluctuating throughout the year in turnover differential. And that wasn't necessarily something that I feel like we should flex, but that's something that I feel like we should appreciate, because without that characterization of our defense and without that opportunity of generating turnovers, this defense would have been fucking terrible. 110%. But the biggest issue and all of the important statistics that we have seen from this Bills defense has been stopping third down conversions. We were, bar none, one of the most pitiful excuses of a defense when it came in to stopping teams in third down conversions, right? We had slow starts on both sides of the football. We had defensive slow starts. We had offensive slow starts, right? That's something that needs to be addressed immediately. But focusing specifically on our inability to make stops on third down conversion attempts, that is when you need a quality edge rusher on this team to make those stops happen. I love Christian Benford, right? I love Christian Benford. Solid player. And to be completely honest with you, I'm going to be releasing a video sometime next week that's going to break down what I believe his new contract should be, whether or not that Buffalo should extend him this season or wait until the conclusion of the next. And Rasul Douglas is going to be gone, but it doesn't matter who you have in the secondary, right? If you cannot get to the damn quarterback, especially a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes / Lamar Jackson / you name them, all of the elites, then those DBs are going to eventually allow separation. Solid separation. Like, I love coverage sacks. They have happened for us several times, but that is not something to put a mortgage on. That is not something to bet is going to happen each and every single time. The biggest issue why we did not have success in third down conversions, stopping third down conversions, was exclusively because that the Buffalo Bills had no pass rush. So how are we going to do it, right? There are a couple of options, but I'm going to go out and say, and this is not me being a homer, it's something I really think could happen. It's going to be Myles Garrett from the Cleveland Browns. He is my number one pick. Now, some of you guys are probably just like, oh, Dan, he's going to cost a lot. So to be honest with you, I genuinely believe that Myles Garrett is going to cost 2 firsts and a second round, a first in 2025 and a first in 2026, and one of our seconds this year. And before anybody says, no, thanks, I'm good, I'll keep the capital, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I love Brandon Beane's like draft mentality. He hits home runs regularly in the 3rd through the 7th round. But I mean, when was the last time we had like a truly impactful first round pick, right? Like a truly impactful first round pick. Maybe Greg Rousseau, maybe, right? Is that what we want to say? Definitely Josh Allen. Beane has done a wonderful job at finding talent in those middle rounds, right? And even if we do get lucky and we find an edge rusher that can easily transition and be an impact player immediately, that's also a coin flip. More than likely, it's going to take a little bit of time for that guy to sort of develop, right? So if you were to ask me, Dan, should the Buffalo Bills walk away with that pick compensation? My answer to you, 110%, 120%. Send them more. I'm just kidding. I am fine with 2 first rounds and a second round to get Myles Garrett on this team. Some of you are probably just like, oh, Dan, this is going to be very expensive. Not so much. When you look at Myles Garrett's contract, he has no guaranteed salary. He has a posted salary, but none of that money is guaranteed. Meaning that if he were to be traded to the Buffalo Bills, we would likely restructure his contract, give him a massive extension, a brand new contract, and backload his overall situation. Now, some of you are probably still hurt from the Von Miller experiment. I can tell you this, that this is an entire different conversation. When Von Miller came to this team, what was he, like 32 years old? Now we're talking about a Myles Garrett who is 29. He has stayed relatively healthy, knock on wood on this one. He's coming off of a 14-sack game. He is regularly first-team All-Pro. And he plays more like a Bruce Smith than he does a Von Miller, right? Like, he wins just based off of his presence by itself, where Von Miller just basically ended up winning by his athleticism and his burst off of the line. These are two different sorts of edge rushers, and the players like Myles Garrett tend to be a hell of a lot more productive into their old age than players like Von Miller do. So by no excuse, do not confuse the trade for Von Miller and the production we got from Von Miller, who, by the way, was playing very good until he tore his ACL. Very, very good. We would have been having an entire different conversation if that didn't happen in the first place, with Myles Garrett, who plays a hell of a lot more like Bruce Smith than he does, right? And same thing with Michael Strahan. He was also a defensive end who did the exact same thing. It's just how it is. I love Myles Garrett. I think that he's that dude. I genuinely believe that he is that guy. Send over the draft compensation, sign him for a multi-year deal. He would be the highest paid defensive end in all of football when it comes into OTE or when it comes into AAV, excuse me. And I am 110% fine with that. 110% fine with that. I will take the production from Myles Garrett immediately in 2025, then roll the dice on a position in which that this team has failed over and over and over again to attempt to draft. That's sort of where I am at, right? Next couple of weaknesses. Number one, obviously, we want that pass rusher in Myles Garrett. I'm absolutely loving it. We're going to see. Dan Mitchell, love the new plans. Tiers for roundtables. Lancelot, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Hopefully you're talking about our Patreon contribution. Yeah, dude, listen, if you are interested in hopping on, let me know. Some really, really cool stuff, man. We have a lot of really cool stuff, some film studies, the whole thing. My guy, 13 seconds, well-deserved MVP. Thank you so much, man. It does feel like a consolation prize. It certainly does. Best of luck to your Kansas City Chiefs, as much as that fucking pains me to say. You've always been cool in my chat. So for your sake, I will wish you the best of luck. All right. And as much as I hate the Kansas City Chiefs, as much as I want the Eagles to win, come on, folks. We really think the Eagles are going to win this game. It happens. We do need more than one an edge rusher. So I'll tell you what, Marshall, when it comes into the edge rushing position, if you add Myles Garrett and Gregory Rousseau on the other end of the line, and you also had Ed Oliver, like, here's one more thing. Here's one more thing when it comes. So when it comes into a quality edge rusher, that makes everybody on this Buffalo Bills team a hell of a lot better. Oh my God. If you want to mask any weaknesses that a defense has, put an edge rusher like Myles Garrett on your defensive line and see what happens. Average DBs become fucking world beaters. Linebackers get better. Your defensive tackles get better. Your one tech, your three tech, your other edge rusher on the other side gets better. It's massive. It's absolutely massive. Absolutely love that. I'll be happy not if, but when y'all win multiple Super Bowls. Oh, man, dude. Ah, man. But when, hey, man, listen, I appreciate that. That right there is my Kansas City buddy who's, oh, man. Thanks, man. I fucking hope so. I hope so, bro. I hope so. You have no idea. 194 of you are in here right now. 96 of you are on YouTube. 98 of you are on X. And if you are just joining, right now we are exclusively discussing what the Buffalo Bills need to do this offseason to finally make it to a damn Super Bowl, to finally potentially win one. And the first thing that we discussed was the need for an addition to a pass rusher. And I think that we've all agreed on Myles Garrett. And don't get me wrong, I would love Trey Hendrickson as well. If we could possibly work a trade out there, I would love Max Crosby. But I will tell you what, the true prize is Myles Garrett. If you were to ask me, the true prize is Myles Garrett. He's affordable because there's no guaranteed salary. He's going to cost 2 first-round picks. But if you were to ask me, again, I will say it, fuck those picks. He is the prize. If not, then I would settle for a Trey Hendrickson. I would settle for a Max Crosby. I'm done rolling the dice on an edge rusher in the draft. I am, because I just haven't seen the production from this draft class that we need. Like, look at it this way. If we end up sending over 2 first-round picks to the Cleveland Browns for Myles Garrett, just tell yourself from now on that Myles Garrett was the Buffalo Bills' first-round pick in 2025 and 2026. It's where it's at. We have Joshua saying, Dan is drinking that fancy water. I'm a sparkling water guy. Sparkling water guy, man. You already know what I'm all about. All right, so edge rusher, number one priority for Buffalo, and we have several other things that need to be done. But as a reminder, guys, the damn Super Bowl is here. And I know nobody wanted to see this matchup, but that doesn't mean we can't make a little bit of damn money. Guys, I'm not sure if you have ever heard of Kalshi before, but Kalshi basically was this app where, like, you got to bet on, like, politics and stuff like that, and, like, random ass, like, events, like, for example, right? Like, you can go ahead and just go to climate, for example, right? Like, so U.S. meets its climate goals, blah, blah, blah. But I'll tell you what, they just ended up releasing football, which is absolutely hysterical. And some of the lines that they have are funny as hell. Like, who will be the next New Orleans Saints head coach? We already ended up getting that. Here, let me go ahead and find the Super Bowl real fast. Let's go into sports real fast. Let's get into this. Hold up. Where's the Super Bowl situation at here, boys? There we go. Check this out. Where's the Super Bowl? Here we go. Here we go, ladies and gents. Don't mind me there. So who will be a part of Kendrick's halftime show? I'm not sure about you, but I think Baby Keem is the answer right here, baby. We're going to go yes on this bad boy, then go on ahead and place a little bit of moolah right at the end of the day. Right at the end of the day. They have things for the halftime show, guys. They have things for how many people will watch the big game. More than 2024? More than 2023? Listen, no one's watching this damn game, of course, unless you are a Kansas City Chiefs or a Philadelphia Eagles fan. So they have all these really, really cool props, folks. It is a website that I'm absolutely obsessed with. And get this, if you sign up and use my code Don Mafia, DONMAFIA, Don Mafia, one word, then you will get a $10 sign-up bonus. Like I said, Kalshi, it's the place to be, and you can bet on politics, like everything. And then now it's also with the Super Bowl and also sports moving forward. It's not like a regular sports book. It's more so like a if and when, and some of the payouts are absolutely insane. Highly recommend that you check out Kalshi and put a 1 in the chat. And put a 1 in the chat if you end up downloading it and using my code Don Mafia. Code right here. We're going to go ahead. We're going to put Don Mafia. Shout out to Kalshi for giving me an opportunity to work with you. Dan, you got to get Josh MVP bronze coin photo mint off the Bills store. It's a cool picture they put on it, and they put his season stats on it. It's a coin, Robert, is what you're saying. I could appreciate that. Look at that. Less total turnovers. I know you were looking for a stat, Fins fan 7. Okay. Guys, reminder, definitely go ahead and sign up for Kalshi, and do me a favor and let me know in the chat once you ultimately end up doing so. It is the #1 place to bet on everything, literally everything. All right. Like, look at this. What companies will run ads during the big game, right? It's great payouts. Can't hate on it. Have to make it happen. Shout out to Kalshi for making it happen. Shout out to Kalshi, right? Here, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do $25 hairs wins you 48. Absolutely beautiful thing. Sign up for Kalshi, free $10. You already know what it's all about. But okay, so we have another thing that I think this Buffalo Bills team needs to desperately do in order for us to make it to the Super Bowl finally. Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon, folks. We have an inability of stretching the field vertically. We don't have a wide receiver that can win downfield. And it breaks my heart, too, because you want to know why? This Buffalo Bills team was obsessed with throwing the football downfield, 20-plus yards downfield, and we just didn't have the personnel to do it. We were continuously trying to make it work, hoping that some of these guys could adjust to it, but it just didn't work out. And don't get me wrong, I'm not pissed at Joe Brady. We had one of the most efficient offenses in Bills history. In fact, the most efficient offense in Bills history as far as points per game and several other metrics. But one place we struggled was truly the deep ball. How many of us were watching the Buffalo Bills play football this year and us screaming at the television being like, where the hell is Josh Allen's deep ball? Haven't seen it all year, right? So the Buffalo Bills genuinely need somebody that is a threat vertically. And I'm not mad at the thought process behind going for Keon Coleman right over Xavier Worthy or right over Ladd McConkey, right? I'm not. Because at the end of every single game or your last game, as I'm pretty sure Brandon Beane said this, you understand what your biggest weakness is. And after the divisional loss against the Kansas City Chiefs in Buffalo last year, I think that we could all agree. Folks, that our biggest issue was a wide receiver that could catch the damn football. in key situations, a 50-50 ball kind of guy. A true throw it up, go get it, jump ball sort of wide receiver. We didn't have that in Gabe Davis. We didn't have that in Stephon Diggs in 2024. And I think that that was half of the reason why. I really believe that that's the case. But now we don't have that field stretcher because we were under the impression that that's what we needed. We had it and we were like, oh yeah, we had Diggs this whole time. We had this. We had like zero speed. So the Buffalo Bills need to have an answer here. Whether or not, since Curtis Samuel, of course, is under contract for the next 3 years, he has quite a bit of cash associated with his name. I don't see Curtis Samuel going anywhere this offseason. I don't. Some good plays here and there, but he largely disappointed. But granted, a lot of Josh Allen's off-target throws were sort of aimed toward Curtis Samuel. So maybe it was more of a chemistry situation / issue. But this Buffalo Bills team needs some damn speed. Okay? And if we ultimately end up signing Myles Garrett to the contract I believe that we will sign him to, or some edge rusher, I think that we're going in on edge rusher during free agency / trade. We're going to have to draft. And obviously, I am going to be giving you guys extensive scouting reports, extensive film study, exclusively on the Roundtable Patreon, by the way, of all of these players. My personal favorite is Jalen Royals. He's my personal favorite. I saw him at the Senior Bowl. Like, dude ran like a 4.3, 4.4. He was cooking people left and right. He is the exact same kind of wide receiver that I would love for Brandon Beane to pull the trigger on in the second and or the third round. I think that he is the answer, but there are also some more burners that are out in this draft that I'm very much looking forward to looking into. But speed is what we need. A true threat on the outside, somebody with decent size, but most specifically, give me somebody that can burn out a 4.3, a 4.40. That's honestly what I want right there, is our deal when it comes into that. Next up, free agency. All right. And I'm not going to dip into this too much because I have an entire separate video and stream planned for this next week, or maybe even this weekend or Saturday. It does, so I guess it does depend. But what players are we bringing back? Right? Like, what players are we bringing back? Mac Hollins, for example, Rasul Douglas. I'm really not big on Rasul Douglas, to be honest with you. I'm fine with going and finding a cheap free agent like Carlton Davis, perhaps, off of the Lions, etc. Like Mac Hollins, I believe, does deserve a contract coming back. But how many guys that are hitting free agency do we need to make sure come back? I think that's a question, right? And then I also believe that we have conversations about some of the players who are entering their final year of their rookie season or their final year of their said contract. Who do we want to extend this offseason, which is going to play a role into what else we can do in free agency and trades, etc. It's all a beautiful masterpiece of how we look at all of this. So a lot of very difficult decisions, but have no fear. I'm planning on going through each and every single one of them, and we'll see. We have AJ saying Douglas, why? He's lost a step. He's getting at about like 30 years old. You can tell that this guy definitely took a step back or two, in my opinion, I'm fine with drafting a replacement, and I'm fine with finding a reasonable free agent that's a bit more on the younger side. Like a Carlton Davis would be pretty cheap, right? And a few other pending cornerbacks in the NFL. But don't worry about that. We're going to have plenty of time to discuss absolutely all of this. Guys, 128 of you are currently watching on YouTube, 138 of you on X, 3 of you on Facebook, 1 of you on Twitch. Look at that. Guys, smash that like button for me. I sincerely appreciate you hanging out with me. If you are watching this on the replay, I am live Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. EST and 5:15 p.m. EST every single week. Shout out to everybody that's been hanging out with me. And if you guys can poach Nick Bolton from us, it would pain me, but Trey Smith is a top priority, and I feel like we're going to re-sign Willie Gay from NOLA. and you pair Bolton and Myles Garrett. That would be absolutely insane. I'm not sure if Bolton like would be a target for us. He's a dog, trust me. He's a dog. But we still have Bernard on a contract, and we still have Matt Milano on a contract as well. Um, it would be interesting, but I just don't see us being in the conversation as far as like how much it would cost us to bring him in. And like we already have guys that are under contract there that are somewhat serviceable for us. But yeah, I mean, dude, he's an absolute stud. We have Andrew from Facebook coming in saying sign Mac Hollins. I would probably have to agree with you there, Andrew. I think he is one of the only pending free agents this offseason where I am desperately trying to work out a path to bring him back. He's probably one of the only ones that I think is like, okay, yeah, we got to move mountains in order for him to make it happen. Why am I arguing with a Dolphins fan on a Friday? What am I doing with my life? Taryn took a step back, and so Taryn and Douglas did, and anything to do with our CB coach leaving and the new cornerback coach. Interesting take, Dominic. Very interesting take. I don't think that Taryn Johnson, he took a step back just because he regressed, right? He was dealing with an injury and he was gone for a couple of weeks this year. And we've already heard stories about how Amari Cooper played through an injury, how Dalton Kincaid played through an injury as well. And they just came back and didn't look the same. Same thing with Keon Coleman, right? He came back from injury and just didn't look the same. I think Taryn Johnson largely had to do with the injury he suffered at the beginning of the season. I still think he played serviceable. Like, I don't think that he was like a world beater. He still looked very good in coverage, right? Maybe he didn't make as many sexy plays like he typically does, but as far as coverage, he was doing his thing. Maybe outside of a couple of like unfavorable matchups. And when I'm talking about unfavorable matchups, we're talking about some of the best receivers in the game, right? Like, good luck guarding Cooper Kupp. Like, that was Taron Johnson's worst game was against Cooper Kupp. And let's be honest with ourselves. Who has a good game against Cooper Kupp, right? Who does? So that's kind of my thought process. Fitz and Tua combined are not JA17. Oh my God, dude. We have a Kansas City Chiefs fan in here. Humbling Fins fan 7. You have to love it. Happy Friday. How are you today? I am doing fantastic, my friend. I hope you are doing well. Bills need new young guys in the backfield, CB and safeties. Bill Katie, thank you so much for joining, man. Facebook, I appreciate that. I have started streaming to Facebook, which is absolutely insane. Right now, we have our homies over here. We have 5 on Facebook, 106 on YouTube, and 149 on X. Guys, smash that like button. Let's continue this overall conversation. But what Bill said, yeah, dude, listen, man, youth is very important. There are a couple of corners that I really like in the second, third round, fourth round, wide receiver, second, third, fourth, and then also safeties specifically. One I love is Billy Bowman Jr. He is a free safety out of Oklahoma. And keep in mind, folks, we need a free safety. We don't need a strong safety. Strong safety, we have Taylor Rapp coming back, and we also have, of course, Cole Bishop rolling in this. So we have to go on ahead and get a free safety, somebody that excels in coverage. And if that is the case, I am going with Bill Bowman or Billy Bowman out of Oklahoma. Could probably get him around the third or the fourth round. I loved what I saw from him at the Senior Bowl. And then as far as corners, I love this one gentleman out of Louisville. He was a stud. I love Azarie Thomas as well out of Florida State. So a lot of options. As far as trade, yes, I love Kobe Bryant as well. I do love Kobe Bryant as well. He is also a sleeper in the later rounds. Did Micah Hyde retire? He did officially retire. Yes, he certainly did. What up, Murdy? What up, dude? Hope all is well. Hope all is well. As long as we get rid of Elam, who has turned into the Tony Dow Wally of the Bills, with Benford being, oh my God. Yeah. So that's basically my thought. As far as free agency or trade, just go on ahead and sell the house for Myles Garrett. Send over those 2 first-round picks and second-round pick. Just do it. Like, screw the first-round pick. We all know that we cook in the mid-rounds. That's essentially what this team has always been built by. Always. Each and every single time. Oh, man. We already know. Already know. Oh, man. But, guys, listen. Ladies and gentlemen, we already have 260 of you in here. I do want to go on ahead and just let everybody know again, guys, sign up for Kalshi and let me know once you do. They're offering $10 once you sign up to free bet on the Super Bowl and random things across the Super Bowl. What do we have? Will it rain in New Orleans? How many people will watch the big game? Who will attend the big game? We have JD Vance or Kanye West. I don't know. I think Kanye West sounds pretty interesting. Let's go to yes. How much cash we throwing down on this one? $100 wins you $239. Absolutely. Guys, Kalshi is the place where typically you go on ahead and bet on things like politics or Doge or sports or Oscars, for example. First 100 days, look at that. Will Trump back the Panama Canal? A bunch of random stuff, all right? And Kalshi has done a wonderful job of implementing sports into their overall system. Go on ahead and download that, of course, if you are age appropriate, and use code DonMafia once you do. Guys, code DonMafia. Just ended up putting that in the chat for you. Link is at the top of the chat. Let me know once you do and take advantage of this. Might as well. Let's make it work. Last drive in the AFC Championship was so bad, someone should be fired. 3 minutes and 3 timeouts and absolutely nothing. Here's the thing. Was really just a lack of personnel issue. We just don't have a player that can stretch the field, right? And then hopefully we're going to be able to fix that this offseason. I'm really hoping that we're going to be able to knock this out in the overall draft class and then also in free agency. But folks, that's going to have to do it. And so I wanted to go on here and just hop on real fast and discuss what the Buffalo Bills need to do to make it to a Super Bowl. As I've teased, next week when it's officially the offseason, we are about to be diving into some really cool stuff. Some really cool stuff, guys. The return of pre-recorded videos will be back. More live streams, indeed. And how about a exclusive Dan Mitchell show on the Roundtable Sports Network? Oh, my God. An NFL show. Move over, Pat McAfee. Dan Mitchell now has a show on Roundtable Sports Network. But don't worry, more on that later. But for the remainder of the season, guys, like next week specifically, we are going to be looking at pending free agents. Each and every single person is going to have their own episode of how much it would cost to bring them back, what a contract could potentially look like for them, the whole nine. Then afterwards, we're going to start looking at film reviews for college prospects. What is Myles Garrett going to potentially cost? What is Trey Hendrickson going to potentially cost? What is damn Max Crosby going to potentially cost? I'm going to be shoving content down your throats all off season. So make sure you do me a favor. If you are subscribed to the channel, go on ahead and also make sure you have those bell notifications on, because I don't want you to be able to miss a beat. I love each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the Don Mafia Report, and we will see you soon. Peace.